Next on Startup, we head to Buffalo, New York to talk to James, Matt, and Sam, the owners of Public Espresso. Then we head over to Sudbury, Massachusetts to talk to Emily, the founder of Fedwell. All of this and more is next on Startup.
There is nothing easy about starting a small business. A Baker's Tale, all natural and gluten-free cookies, tarts, pies, and cakes online. A Baker's Tale is proud to support Startup and all of the entrepreneurs out there trying to sweeten their own story of success.
The American small business was built on one thing: relationships. And every time a customer walks through the door, a new one begins. Pay Anywhere was built to help entrepreneurs do what they do best. So keep loving what you do. Just get paid for it. Pay Anywhere.
The Michigan Economic Development Corporation is proud to support Startup and all the dreamers, thinkers, and doers. Pure Michigan, ready for the next big thing.
You've written your own story of success, and it shows. Chrysler is proud to support Startup and all the people out there who define their own success.
My name is Gary Brado, and I'm a documentary filmmaker and an entrepreneur. The economy is in less than perfect shape, and when the jobs go away, there's nothing left to do but get up and get creative. And there are people all over America doing just that. It's estimated that up to 85% of new businesses fail. So I'm going coast to coast to hear the personal stories of the people who beat the odds and started a successful business from the ground up. This is Startup. I'm on Lafayette in Washington, in Buffalo, New York. And I'm gonna go talk with James and Sam, two of the owners of Public Espresso, a coffee roaster and pour-over bar that's helping to lead the resurgence in Buffalo's local food and drink scene. Let's go hear their story. Coffee was discovered centuries ago in the Ethiopian highlands and has become an absolute staple in the diets of people all over the world. More than half of American adults drink coffee every day, and a recent scientific study suggests moderate consumption may actually reduce the risk of disease. After traveling and exploring coffee options in several other cities, James, Matt, and Sam decided to invest in their local community and offer the people of Buffalo the same type of coffee experience that they have had.
I'm James Rayberg.
And I'm Sam Scarcello.
And we're co-owners of Public Espresso and Coffee.
Our mission statement is to source, roast, and serve really high-quality coffee beans while providing an education on what third-wave coffee can be.
All right, so let's start by learning about yourself. So tell us who you are, a little bit about your educational history and work history.
I'm currently co-owner of Public Espresso and Coffee. I was born and raised in Buffalo, New York.
That would make you Buffalese? Or is it Buffalonian?
Buffalonian, I think,
gotcha.
is what we technically go by.
How did the opportunity even come up? Why coffee? Paint the whole picture for us.
My business partner, James, he purchased a small coffee roasting machine and some green beans and just started playing around with it and seeing what he could make.
Every bean that anybody drinks or buys has come through my hands.
You're the one that had the crazy idea to start roasting.
That is correct, yes.
Were you working a full-time job, or kind of tell me where you were in life at that point?
I spent my career as an architect. I taught at some universities, and I'd spent 14 years at this corporate firm, and just decided it was time.
When did you actually say, we're going to start a business?
Yeah, so the opportunity presented itself that we could participate in an indoor farmers market. So we decided to come up with a company name. We got some shirts with our logo on it, a banner for a table, and we showed up with coffee beans, some kettles, and some cups, and just decided to see what would happen.
We started at farmers markets. And what we learned from farmers markets, kind of serving across a plastic table with electric kettles and spending 2 minutes talking to people, is that the interaction with our customers was really important. So we found an interesting system, both kind of espresso and pour overs. It's a really fancy way to stand at a plastic table and have an interaction with the customer and allow them to see everything that you're doing. So you can watch your coffee brew, you can watch your espresso shot pour. There's no other system on currently in existence that lets you do that gets you this close to your customer.
Was the farmer's market kind of like going to small business school in a way?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, from starting off so small with just a plastic table and some electric kettles, like, it let us build a customer base, a fan base, if you will.
It's proof of concept.
It is
what you did. So you reduced the risk, which is important for people to understand. That the more that you can reduce risk for not only investors but for yourself,
absolutely,
it gives you that confidence to say, wait a minute, I can really do this. This is gonna succeed. I can do this with my life, which is an exciting feeling.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Yeah.
I know that espresso machines alone can be extremely expensive.
Yeah.
How did you acquire the funds to get that, kind of paint the picture of the business?
We actually ran an online bookstore through Amazon.com. And we would go to library sales and pick up books on the cheap. We'd fill a U-Haul truck, bring them back, and then list them on Amazon and sell them. And we took that money and used it as the startup cash to buy our equipment, our coffee beans, our shirts, all those kind of things.
Book sales.
Book sales.
Funded this bit.
Funded this
That
business.
is awesome.
Something as antiquated as book sales. It worked. It really did. It was a lot of work, but it paid off in spades, and it allowed us to use expendable cash. We didn't have to dip into our own pockets at the very start, which was really, really helpful.
Talk about social media. Who manages it, and what is your overall philosophy, plan for social media? How important is it?
It's free advertising, and if you don't take advantage of it, I think you're setting yourself up for failure. And we actually developed our first direct trade coffee relationship through Instagram.
Instagram. How did that happen?
That happened strictly by scrolling through my feed. I searched some hashtags, and I found a coffee farm situated in Brazil. And I sent him an email and just said, we'd love to get some samples of your coffee. And since then, we've ordered about 800 pounds of their coffee, and we've enjoyed it immensely.
Anchor Bar in Buffalo was home to the original buffalo wing, a popular dish that's now found across the entire country. Why Public? Like, what is different about this cup of coffee from popping into your local chain?
The flavor is completely different. The feeling that you get when you're here and how they present it is totally different. And just the overall experience with them, you can't get that anywhere in Buffalo.
You said something about the third wave of coffee. What is the third wave?
Yeah, so third wave is coffee shops and roasters that are really focused on properly sourcing beans, properly roasting them so that you're getting the natural profile of the coffee bean in the drink. You're highlighting the coffee, and that wants to be the star of the show.
Through every step of the process, from the moment that the bean is picked to the moment that we roast it and brew it, we're just trying not to mess it up, right? And we're trying our best to kind of honor those folks who have picked it by hand.
So you said this is Revolution, right? Is this like your top selling coffee?
Yeah,
That's the main one?
By far. Sometimes our menu, because there's so many single origins there, and it's a country name that somebody can't pronounce, and they say, you can tell by the face I don't know what to do, and we'll say, if you haven't had our stuff, start with Revolution, and then we'll work from there.
I don't know much about coffee, but this is fantastic.
Thanks.
So thank you for making this cup. Legend has it that an Ethiopian farmer first discovered coffee after his goats had eaten the berries from a specific tree. They became so spirited that they did not want to sleep. Where are we right now? Where are we standing?
So we're on the west side of Buffalo. This was always meant to be our flagship first location. It has turned out to be our second location, but will still be our flagship. We're standing in what will be our commercial roastery.
This was supposed to be the flagship space. How'd you stumble into Hotel Lafayette?
One of my students from 15 years back works for the owner over there. And there was a little coffee shop in the Lafayette. And just in passing, I said to him, if those guys ever decide they're not going to be there anymore, you should let us know. And 5 days later, the owner of the building called and said, I'd like to meet with you guys. And the rest is history.
Where'd the name
Public Espresso and coffee come from?
We saw coffee houses as kind of the new pub or public house. So Public really came from the idea that we wanted to be out in the community, but we also wanted to be a place that built community.
What has been the biggest hardship that you've had to overcome from, I guess, conception to present?
For the first 15 months, all three of us had our full-time jobs. So managing kind of other commitments plus starting up a business at the same time was really difficult.
For someone else who is looking to start a business or has a dream or idea, what would be the best piece of advice that you could give them?
You've got to be hungry for it.
Really?
Yeah.
So don't just focus on the money.
Not at all. I mean, I think it's really important to be out there, be visible and active in your community. If there are other businesses doing great things, align yourself with them, make yourself known to them, and try to collaborate with them. And if you can get yourself into that and become a real part of the community, you're on your way.
Was this a good decision for you? Are you happy?
I actually could not be happier.
Really?
Yeah, I mean,
That's great to hear.
There are those scary moments where you're watching your bank account get lower and lower, right?
Been there,
When you've
yeah.
cashed out your 401k and you're thinking, did I make the right decision? But every morning you wake up and you get to do things that you love and you get to have conversations with people. There's no dollar figure or salary that compensates for that kind of experience.
Well, thank you so much for talking to us today. I can't wait to see what this space turns into.
Us too.
And what Public is actually going to do over the next couple of years. So
Great.
Thank you again.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
There are a million ways to start a business, but how did James, Matt, and Sam do it? Let's find out. They started with about $1,000 in the bank and an average credit score of around 710. They spent about $65,000 to start the business. Their first year sales around $50,000, they operated at a loss. The one word that they would use to describe what it takes to make it in business is hunger.
When you get burned out with the daily grind, it can create grounds for finding other options. And although you might be sentimental about leaving your full-time job, you have to remember the perks that come with following your dreams. Looks like Public Espresso is giving Buffalo residents a reason to stop and smell the coffee. For more information, log on to our website and click the link for Public Espresso. I'm on Dutton Road in Sudbury, Massachusetts, and I'm gonna go talk to Emily, the creator of Fedwell, an independent, organic dog food company. Let's go hear her story.
In 1860, a salesman from Ohio got the idea to create an official dog biscuit after watching sailors feed hardtack to stray dogs, consisting of flour, water, and salt. His dog treat was popular among the wealthy until around the 1920s, when dehydrated meals became popular. After Emily's dog became sick from eating big box processed dog food, she found a way to create her own healthy meals for her dog in her own kitchen. And now she's sharing it with the world.
My name is Emily Lagasse. I'm the founder of Fedwell Pet Foods, and I'm on a mission to bring home-cooked food to dogs everywhere.
Tell me about yourself. Personally, a little bit about your history, background, education, that type of stuff.
Well, I grew up in Boston, and I went to Ohio State for college. I majored in marketing and logistics. After that, I moved to Chicago and took a job in corporate logistics and got the startup bug working at night with some friends on a logistical services company. And actually through that experience, met someone who had done the Peace Corps and decided that that was something I also wanted to do.
Peace Corps?
Yes.
Okay.
So then in 2008, I joined the Peace Corps in Togo in West Africa.
Wow. How long were you there total?
About 2.5 years.
2.5 years. Did you come home in between at all?
I did not.
No breaks.
Mm-mm.
How did Africa kind of affect your drive and work ethic when you got back home?
I had such an amazing time there. I felt so fulfilled and I loved everything that I did there. And I made a promise to myself that I would never spend my days doing something that I didn't love again. The problem was I didn't know what that was when I first got home. And I kind of started working on other entrepreneurial projects. I started working for other startups. And at the same time Fenway got sick, I took classes and I learned how to cook for him. And he improved so much. All of a sudden, I just got this idea, like, well, Fenway's improved so much on this food that I've been making him. I'm sure there are other people out there with the same problem. I just found the closest specialty pet store, went in, started talking to the manager there, and I realized that it was, in fact, a really big opportunity.
What have the customers been saying about Fedwell?
About Fedwell, they've been really liking the fact that it's made in small batches, it's locally produced as well. They love the fact too that it's a limited ingredient in the sense that it's also grain-free. So with this product, it kind of gives you the ability to feed home cooked, but not have to worry about how to make it complete and balanced in your own home.
Who is this right here?
This is Giselle.
Giselle, okay. How old is she?
Giselle is 8.
She's 8. Well, she acts like a puppy.
I know. She's very active 8-year-old.
It's got to be the food, huh?
It's got to be the food. Exactly.
So what's the story with her? How did you get to introduce her to this food, and why?
Giselle is a foster, an adopted dog, and we noticed pretty quickly that she was very sensitive to the food. The vet told us she was having some allergies. She started giving herself hot spots. And someone introduced me to Fedwell, and when we tried it and got her transitioned, it's the best she's been.
What do you think about it, Giselle? She wants more.
She does, exactly. She knows it's more over there.
One of Sudbury, Massachusetts' historic landmarks, the Wayside Inn, claims to be the country's oldest operating inn, built and run by the Howe family for many generations.
Okay, so you proved your concept. Then what?
So after proving the concept, I had to figure out how to actually bring it to market. And that took about a year. And what I ended up on was discovering a baked process, which is how they make a lot of treats. And I went that direction because I knew that customers really wanted a convenient product. So they didn't want to have to defrost something. They didn't want to have to reconstitute it with water. And by making a baked product, it could be shelf stable for over a year.
Oh, wow. Without a ton of preservatives?
No preservatives at all.
You obviously can't do it all in your kitchen.
No, not if I'm going to bring food to
There's
dogs
any
everywhere.
demand.
No.
Yeah. With any demand, you're crushed.
Yeah.
Did you just put your feelers out for manufacturing, or how did you go about that?
Manufacturing is always my biggest challenge, trying to find the right partner, because as it is right now in the market with dog food and pet food, you know, they can make so much volume for these big customers.
Yeah.
Why would they want to take a chance on someone like me who has small volume? And I'm trying to innovate on a product and do it differently than what's out there. I did find a manufacturer that was family run, and a lot of the reason why they agreed to let me work with them is because of a relationship that we built, and the fact that I was able to really show them who I was and what I wanted to do.
Where are they located?
They were in Georgia, and they actually
got American, okay.
Yeah, they got acquired, and then the acquiring company in Alabama, I worked with them for about 6 months, and we were just getting ready to go to production, and they told me that it wasn't going to work with us anymore.
What? Bait and switch?
Yeah. So
you had to be crushed.
Yeah, it was very heartbreaking.
So then what, did you found someone eventually who did follow through?
So, well, I had the initial food that I had made in Georgia. And then I found another mom and pop place in New Hampshire that was going to help me. They were purchasing a new facility. They would have the capacity for me. It was local, more local to Boston.
Perfect. Yeah, New England, yeah.
Seemed perfect.
Yeah.
Moving along just fine. A couple months into that working relationship, it turned out that their purchase of that facility was not going to work out. It wasn't going to be able to happen.
More heartbreak.
Now I'm back to square one. I'm currently talking to 2 or 3 manufacturers, probably going to visit them all in person in the next month, and hopefully get a contract and get up to production soon.
You're still in early stage then. I mean, you were able to get it out. You've been able to confidently say it will sell if you can produce it.
Yep.
But you just need manufacturing.
Yeah, not only that, but I've pre-sold hundreds of bags through a Kickstarter campaign.
Oh, wow.
And I have people waiting for food, and all that's holding me back is a contract with a manufacturer.
What is your dog's name?
Murphy.
Murphy. How's the food affected Murphy?
Murphy has a gentle GI, so you would occasionally come home to find dog crime.
Oh, no.
And a guilty dog in the corner. So
I didn't do it, right?
Yeah, no, yeah. And when he was on Fedwell, none of those problems ever happened. You could see the symptoms dose down when you got him on the dog food, and then he was fine.
What would you say to somebody who's never tried Fedwell?
That it is well worth the extra time it takes you to find it and the extra expense, because you have a healthy, happy dog and your rugs are saved.
What's the cost of this bag in comparison to another high-end dog food?
It's higher than the most high-end dry food. And you know, I do get some feedback about that from customers and stores, but it's very hard to make a better product at a cheaper price.
Is your company where it needs to be right now? I know you're seeking manufacturing, but where are you from a funding standpoint?
Yeah, so right now this is the first product that we entered the market with, this 5-pound bag, but consumers really want bigger size bags, and I'm also hoping to provide them a better economy of scale with a larger size bag and introduce a second recipe. So to do that and really invest in that inventory and all of the packaging that goes along with that, I need to find money from investors. Right now I'm raising about $500,000 from angel investors and accredited investors, mostly in the Boston area. I have just about half over what I'm looking for, which is great.
How are you doing it? Are you knocking on doors, sending emails?
Yeah, well, I talk to everybody. I'll go to, if you invite me anywhere, a bar mitzvah, a birthday party, I'm there. I like talking to everybody. I always mention whenever somebody asks me what I do, no matter if I'm looking for an investor or a website developer, whenever I meet someone, they ask me what I do, I always also tell them what I'm looking for at that time, because you never know who you're talking to or who they know.
Adding human food to a nutritionally balanced commercial dog food may upset the nutrient balance of your dog's diet. Ideally, table scraps should not be fed. You may also be creating unwanted behavior problems.
What has been the biggest hurdle you've had to kind of jump over, or challenge you've had to overcome from day one until now?
Day one and now, always manufacturing.
The bane of your existence.
It really is. It's what I wake up thinking about. It's what I go to bed at night thinking about.
What's been the greatest thing from day one until now about this decision? And did you make the right decision?
Absolutely made the right decision.
Okay.
You know, there are still days where it's incredibly hard and I think, why am I doing this? But then I get calls, emails, and handwritten letters and cards from customers thanking me for what I'm doing, encouraging me, sending me pictures of their dogs, telling me that how much better their dogs are doing on my food. And that not only keeps me going, but it makes me realize that I really did make the right decision.
What would you say to somebody that has a, you know, whether it's a crazy dream or a realistic vision, what advice would you give to them?
I would just say start. You know, I think taking action on an idea will help you build momentum. It will help you figure out what you need to change, what you need to improve. And, you know, if it turns out that it's not a great idea, you'll know and you won't have to wonder. And if it is a great idea, you can just keep moving.
Thank you so much for letting us come in here and invade your space today and talk to you. I feel like the future is wide open for you right now. So best of luck.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
There are a million ways to start a business, but how did Emily do it? Let's find out. She spent about $25,000 total to open the business, which came from her savings and a loan from friends and family. Her first year sales were around $50,000, with the business operating at a loss. She has a master's degree, and the one word that she would use to describe what it takes to make it in business is passion. Sometimes in business, it might feel like you're chasing your tail, but you need to be glad that this is more than just your pet project. And it's important to measure your progress along the way, as long as you have something substantial to base it on. And that just might be your key to success. For more information, log on to our website and click the link for Fedwell.
So people start in my company normally on a test basis, 3 months the most, if they're fortunate enough. And that means they are somebody who is super qualified. If I'm giving them a shot and they are just okay, they're interning. And I have had people at 45 years old with MBAs intern, and they have failed, and some have gone to the level of becoming one of my senior executives. Will they care about my business just as much? Most likely no. Almost nobody will care about your business as much. And then often, even if they do care about it as much, They don't necessarily have the same exact vision as you do. So, you know, it's really, really hard. And if you are looking for somebody to care about your business much, then you probably aren't good for the business.
Next time on Startup, we head to Vermont to talk to Ben and Jeff, who own Music Store Live. Then we head over to Boston, Massachusetts to talk to Michelle, who started Love the Cool and Secret Boston. Be sure to join us next time on Startup.
And then, what is it you do for a living?
I play professional football for the Detroit Lions.
Okay. This is the big question. Super Bowl is here?
Yes.
Come on, please. Yeah. Please, I'm begging. It's been up.
You've written your own story of success, and it shows. Chrysler is proud to support startup and all the people out there who define their own success.
The Michigan Economic Development Corporation is proud to support startup and all the dreamers, thinkers, and doers. Pure Michigan, ready for the next big thing.
The American small business was built on one thing: relationships. And every time a customer walks through the door, a new one begins. Pay Anywhere was built to help entrepreneurs do what they do best. So keep loving what you do. Just get paid for it. Pay Anywhere.
There is nothing easy about starting a small business. A Baker's Tale, all natural and gluten-free cookies, tarts, pies, and cakes online. A Baker's Tale is proud to support startup and all of the entrepreneurs out there trying to sweeten their own story of success.